right, moving on. Friday Night Lights recap. We were live at Friday Night Lights. We had a great time. It did not end up going into the stadium. I saw a lot of you guys commenting, why was it in the stadium? It was monsooning. Okay, it was an absolute hurricane. It was raining sideways when we were there in Florida. It was disappointing. They had the field painted up beautifully. I went to the stadium. I have a banger of a video dropping probably in a week and a half. Really putting a lot of work into this. It's going to be sick. It's like a little half the way season hype video. So keep your eyes peeled out for that. But they had it ready to go. They were planning on going into the stadium to do their one-on-ones, but it didn't go out that way. But it was a star-studded event. Anthony Richardson came out. He worked with the quarterbacks. My little brother, I got some clips of him, and I'll actually go to that now. But he was working with him, which was cool to see. Everyone, it was just straight business, right? Everyone was working hard and being involved. Elam was there, who was just drafted 2 years ago. I think he's a safety or cornerback to Buffalo. Torrance was there. Carter was there. Brandon Spikes was there, spoke with Brandon Spikes, asked him to come on the show. He said he would once Swamp Kings would come out. So we're going to stay on top of that and see how that works out. We're really excited to have that. But all in all, it was a great event. I had Connor Clark on the show while we were there. If you haven't watched that video, go check it out. But the event is changing from what it's been in years past. It's not like it used to be. And for that, I'm going to go back to Allie because where she talks about how when Urban created it, what it was meant for and what it's translated to now. And we'll go from there. Allie?
Yeah, so when Urban created it, I was at Florida. My husband, Eric, was playing for Florida. And when Friday Night Lights was created, it was the only event like it in the entire country. It was so incredibly hyped up. Kids flew in from literally everywhere across the country to attend. And then schools spent the next decade copying that formula and coming up with their own version of Friday Night Lights. I remember distinctly Chaz Henry, he's the punter that punted after Eric graduated. And I can remember Urban offering him on the field and Chaz accepting on the spot. And that was interesting because Chaz is from Tennessee and his entire family are massive Vols fans. So he had to turn around to them and be like, I just committed. Sorry, guys. But they were getting lots of commitments on the spot from guys that they were offering. But I think that recruiting is just a different world now than it was then. Your offers are coming so much earlier. The entire timeline has moved up now that there is an early signing period and guys are committing earlier. So I just think now it's become a lot more about the younger players than it used to, which is fine, but it's just different than it used to be. And I think that now every school has so many camps. These kids are going to, 6-7 different camps over the course of the summer that it's lost a little bit of its luster, and not because of anything that UF is doing, but just because honestly their amazing idea was duplicated so many times over that it's no longer unique. So at this point, UF probably has to reimagine what they're going to do over the summer and come up with another event that everybody's going to spend the next decade copying.
And here's the thing too, is I kind of liked, even though it was last year was a massive event, they had a lot of recruits there. It felt like it was a pivotal point for Billy in the recruiting cycle.
Sure.
This year, it felt more organized. It felt like an actual camp, which I liked, and it was more directed towards the future, like you just said. And Billy, even last year, he was out walking around. All the coaches were walking around because he was new. He was fresh. Nobody was really excited to really talk to Billy. Last year, I walked right up to Billy. It was like, hey, man, I'm showing. He's like, hey, who are you with? And he talked to me because he's trying to have everyone buy in. This year, Buddy showed up in a golf cart minutes before he had a chit chat, right? He knew. He's like, Billy Napier, King's in town, all right? And I liked that. I liked that he had that swagger about him. I think he was with Miles Grahams and Adarius Hayes and those guys and kind of really trying to lock those guys in. And after that, Adarius locked his recruiting down, and so did Isaiah. So could that have been, part of that? I don't know. But I think he was doing more business this time with the guys that were there, and then focused in and came in and did a speech, which I'm going to post later this week as well. But look, I like where it's headed, and I think what you said, Allie, I think because of it's the minutia that has been surrounding it, it's been watered down because it's not as special as it once was. It's still really cool to go throw balls in the swamp at night, which didn't happen this time. That's definitely the coolest part. I think that will always have this camp stand out versus other camps, because my little brother, who you see right now throwing, he went to UCF's camp on Monday, which was just a quarterback camp. And I go, how does it differ? How is it from this camp to that camp? And he goes, well, that camp, it was just quarterbacks. And it wasn't as exciting because they didn't have one-on-ones, and it was just more drills and throwing at targets. So Friday Night Lights still has its separation, but not, like you said, not what it was originally created for, because that's where we're headed. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, you see it now where schools are starting to copy each other, putting in expensive cars and these commitment videos and photos. And of course, you're doing the Friday Night Lights thing. And I even heard that they're going to make changes to it too. So I'm even more really curious about what they're going to do in the future when it comes to Friday Night Lights, or if it's even going to be named Friday Night Lights anymore, if it's going to be named something else. So, I mean, with the facilities and the things that you got going on right now at the University of Florida and as much of the money as they're gonna dump into the stadium and all of that, I mean, you can come up with some pretty cool concepts for, visitors or whatever kind of event that you wanna have every year, and I've always been curious to now know, like, what are they gonna do in the future? I mean, because you see a lot of these schools doing so many different things when kids come on visits. I want to see how unique and different it is now as opposed to I mean, I guess in a year from now as opposed to right now, because I mean, you had it last year because Billy Napier just got here. You had it last year. This year, they're kind of Friday Night Lights was here. Now they're going to do a cookout in July. So I'm really curious to see what they do next year and see how the concepts laid out. If it's the same day, if it's like right after the dead period or before the dead period. I think it's gonna be kind of cool, man.
Yeah, no, I'm excited. And I think, look, you know what the best part about it too? I think Billy's starting to get control. I think the
Yeah.
first year he was playing along the rules of what's expected, and now he's starting to. Well, no, this is how I plan to do it, and that's what we're starting to see.